Russell Martin has a chance to set a record-breaking deficit in terms of points after just 4 league games between Celtic and Rangers. And if he does do that, should he also set another record and be the quickest Rangers manager fired in the club's history? Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football. Russell Martin's start to his Rangers career isn't exactly going well. His next 2 league games really could not only decide the season, but it could also decide the fate of Russell Martin himself. Now, some people might think that's crazy. I personally don't think it is. Rangers already 4 points behind Celtic after 2 games. They've got St Mirren away from home, followed by the Old Firm derby after that. There's a very good chance that Rangers could lose both of those games, and if that happens, the likelihood is Rangers will be 10 points behind. Now, originally Rangers were supposed to cancel their game against St Mirren, which was going to give Celtic the chance to beat Livingston and go 7 points in front. That would mean if Celtic went into the Old Firm match and defeated Rangers, they would be 10 points in front. But now we've seen Rangers decide they're going to play that St Mirren game, and I believe it's down to one thing and one thing only: the bad start to the season, the drop points against Motherwell and Dundee. I think Rangers are thinking they cannot afford to go any further behind Celtic, but if they now play this St Mirren game and don't win, then that just puts so much pressure on that match against Celtic, and there's already a shitload of pressure. Now, Rangers fans, they're used to it. You know, they are used to the first Old Firm game of the season going Celtic's way, and normally Rangers have already dropped points. More often than not, after the first game against Celtic, we normally see Rangers between 4 and 6 points behind Celtic. Normally Rangers have either lost a game or drew a game. They lose the first Old Firm, and after 4 matches, they're already like 4, 5 or 6 points behind. But after 2 games, they're already 4 points behind. And if they lose to St Mirren and lose to Celtic, and Celtic beat Livingston, they will be 10 points behind Celtic. That's never been done before, surely, in the entire history of these clubs. And I think the same goes the other way. I can't imagine there would be a time where Celtic were at 10 points behind Rangers after 4 league games. It just doesn't seem possible, but it's very plausible. It could happen. It could happen. And we see Rangers, yeah, they've got some decent results against Celtic last year, but when was the last time they won a meaningful game in the terms of when was the last time they beat Celtic in a cup, or they beat Celtic when the league was still realistically in play, when the league wasn't over? And you have to go back along. I think the last time Rangers have beat Celtic in a game that I would say was meaningful in terms of deciding who advances or who wins the cup or what direction the league's going to go, I would say you have to go all the way back to the Giovanni Bronckhorst Cup semi-final win. I think it was, the semi-final win against Ange Postecoglou. To me, you have to go all the way back there. I think every other game that Rangers have beat Celtic in, the league was pretty much already over. So the result, in all honesty, didn't matter. So, yeah, I mean, Rangers have had recent success, but they haven't done it when it counts. And trust me, when they play them on match day 4, it's going to fucking count. Whether the gap is 4 points, whether the gap is 6 points, 5 points, 7 points, it does not matter. The result, even if Rangers beat St Mirren, even if Rangers beat St Mirren and Livy beat Celtic, and that brings the gap back down to 1, there's going to be so much pressure on this Old Firm game, and it is almost a must-lose. I think already it's a must-lose, or we could see Russell Martin get sacked. So that's my opinion. There's been 1,000 votes. Let's see what you guys are saying. So, should Russell Martin be sacked as Rangers manager if he loses at Ibrox to Celtic in the first Old Firm game of the season and finds himself 7 to 10 points behind Celtic after match day 4? 47% are saying yes, that's unacceptable. 53% are saying no, it's too early. I think these votes are always skewed because people are laughing and enjoying how bad Russell Martin's doing, and obviously they don't want him to get sacked. They want him to continue doing this job if he does happen to. If he loses to St Mirren and loses to Celtic, of course, why would a non-Rangers fan not want him to continue going? Obviously, I get that. But, I mean, these polls are just supposed to be truthful, and I don't think 53% are being truthful. If Martin is 10 points behind Celtic after match day 4, how can he not get sacked? Even if he's in the Champions League, even if Rangers beat Club Brugge, I don't see how it can be acceptable. How can you be 10 points behind after 4 games and not get sacked? That's insane to me. I'm just not buying it. Not at all. Let's get into the comments. Let's see what you guys are saying. But for me, you cannot afford to drop that far behind. It just cannot happen. Diabetic Trooper said, unacceptable. I get it. No, definitely unacceptable it would be if Rangers are that far behind. Aaron Ramsey said, many obsessed Celtic fans. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of them voting no. But in reality, I think most people would agree. Honestly, I think it's just natural. If you're 10 points behind after 4 games, you have to go. You can't stay. It's insane. Archer the golfer says, Gio, Beale and even Clement, who I hated, were all sacked too early. Managers should be given until the end of the season, in my opinion. I was shocked Beale got sacked after, I think it was 7 league games after bringing in 11 players. It's nuts when you really think about it. Look, I agree that Beale was sacked too early. I do agree with that. I think that Beale was sacked way too early. But listen, Gio, Beale, Clement, they've never been 10 points behind after 4 games. It's just never happened. The fact that Rangers could be that far off Celtic after only 4 matches is just, it's not even fathomable, you know, it's just not. Kieran says, it depends on the score and the performance. Hugh Trodden says, no, he's playing well for the boys. But see, this is one of those bullshit comments where it's just not a genuine answer. I mean, a genuine answer would be, absolutely, he should be sacked, that's abysmal, but I hope Rangers keep him. You know, that would be a genuine answer, that would be an honest answer, but I guess people just aren't really capable of doing that. For whatever reason. Well, we all know the reason. Pose Mandes, keep him as he's the next Pep. He'll just need a few years. There's nothing Pep about the guy. Pato 2020 says, this is all an agenda against vegans. Well, some people don't trust others if they don't eat meat, and maybe Rangers shouldn't have trusted Russell Martin to come in and do a job. Oliver Sutton says, if he's doing that bad, keep him, bring back Barry. Fuck the Pope says, can't stand him, but we just can't keep sacking managers every time, costing a fortune. But I think he's a banger Aarons. Don't rate falls, gets pushed about worse than Dessers on the time of the month. Callum McGregor, get him out for who ha ha. Fuck, Jesus could get the job and the boys would have had him out before his birthday. Had me scared for a minute with the Pilsen home game. I never seen the Pilsen home games, can't really comment on it, but I've heard that Rangers were pretty good. John Maybury, no, he's done a great job, hopefully here until Christmas. Evan Sean Osborne, how's that going to happen? Fuck's sake. He'll be due millions if he stacks this early. You're still paying Ian and PC. Not a manager on earth could turn a state of yours around in 4 or 5 games. I would argue he's made it worse. I think he's made Rangers worse. And I don't think that should be happening with the amount of money he's had to spend in this transfer window. Jimbo Phelan, $8 million is compensation package for him and his management team. We're still trying to pay Beale off. It's a nightmare. Well, I mean, if I guess that is the case, you've got to factor in that. But I mean, honestly, I think that could be the only thing saving him at the moment. If he has got a big, hefty compensation package that is that much in value, then that might be the only thing keeping him in a job and preventing him from being fired. CME says, ha ha ha, couldn't happen to a nicer club too. Sean Fiend says, love it. RSC72, compare him to Fat Ange, who had to rebuild, lost multiple games, and got knocked out the first round in the Champions League. Round it, needs to be 70% new players playing, but 3 out of the back 4 are last season's players, which is no use. If you compare him to Ange, though, Ange was playing great football, and you could see that straight away. Ange, in his second league game, beat Dundee by 6-0. And I said after that, Celtic, I guaranteed Celtic would go on to win the league, and they did. Even after match day 7, a lot of Celtic fans wanted Ange out. Ryan118 even turned on Ange, and he says, I like some of the stuff. I can see the positives, but he has to go. Results are bad. I said after match day 2, guaranteed that Ange would win. Celtic would win the league 100% that season, and they did. And you could see the signs were there. Celtic were playing some great football with shite players. Because the team that Ange had at the start of that season, it was abysmal. All the best players were leaving. Christie left that window, I'm pretty sure. Edouard left. Yeah, he brought Kyogo in, but he didn't get Hatate and Maida in until January. And that Celtic team wasn't good. The initial Celtic team that Ange had, it was really poor. But he actually got them playing some really good football. And he had them close enough to Rangers. It was a bad start. 7 league games, he picked up 10 points. He'd 3 wins, I'm sure, 3 defeats and 1 draw. But after that, he built up momentum. I'm pretty sure they went unbeaten the rest of the season, I think. And he closed the gap to Rangers. And then in January, they managed to get reinforcements in, brought in Maeda, brought in Hatate. Then the next Old Firm game, Celtic beat Rangers 3-0. Hatate had a great game. I think he scored 2 in that. A good shot for long distance. And that was the turning point. I think Celtic overtook Rangers in that match and just never looked back. And you just knew it. I think you knew after Celtic went in front in that one that Rangers just weren't going to claw it back. Celtic were far superior. RFC, I've already read this one, so... Chris Sutherland, Ange had a style of football straight away. You could see what he was doing. This could be any of our last managers in charge. And that's the truth. Ange had a style. As for this current team, honestly, if you didn't know that Clement had been sacked and that Russell or Barry wasn't gone or whatever, this looks like the same football. This looks like the same style. And the performances, this is the same shit we've seen for Rangers for a couple of seasons now. We're not seeing anything different. It looks the same. It looks like Clement never left. So I'm just not really seeing this great stuff from Russell Martin. I'm just not seeing it. At least not yet. Caden McLeish says no, it's too early. Gary Herd says ridiculous. Indecent exposure. Do folks still not realise that changing manager every 12 to 8 months doesn't do us any favours? It's just pissing money up the wall. Bringing in players to suit a new manager's slightly different system and personal preferences. We should have backed Gio after getting us to a Euro final, and we should never have appointed Beale or allowed him to personally make all those deals with a sporting director. Like it or not, we have to stick with RM and hope we can offload some of these dud players that have never been good enough. But selecting poor management is worse. Yeah, it's not great. Paddy McGinley says he's here for 3 years. We are the people 5552 says people need to get a grip. Did people actually expect us to win the league the first year of a takeover and new manager? Celtic have had years of money, team building, selling for great profits. It's never ever going to happen in a season. Doubt even 2, suck it up. They're willing to give Stevie G time, give Russell time, at least 2 seasons, see what he can do. Getting sacked after a few games is ridiculous. I think the performances have been ridiculous. I think Rangers have been ridiculous under Russell Martin. And I'm not saying he should be sacked right now, but what we're looking at a hypothetical situation where after 4 games, there is a half-decent chance that Rangers could be 10 points behind Celtic, and that just cannot be allowed to happen. I've never seen it before. Never seen a gap that big before after 4 games. I cannot imagine that that's allowed to stand. I just don't see it. Bully Bear says, you fool, eh? We all expect it to challenge Celtic. It's idiots like you who accept mediocrity. That's a big part of the problem. It's Scottish football, one of the worst leagues in Europe. Rangers are supposed to be one of the 2 biggest clubs in the country, so we expect far, far better. Skimps like you who are holding the club back, you spineless fool. Gorgas for Congress, Gorgas Guts for Congress says, I have calmed down and agree with this narrative now. It would be kind of crazy to sack the guy. 2 points out of 6 though, against absolute dross. It's a tough ask. Growing pains are a real thing too though. Hugh Trodden, then you should have not have screwed old Lizzie's tax inspectors, alright. You're committing a lot of crimes against humanity. There's a great opportunity for your collection of tainted titles, and we just have some more, throwaway arguments really that don't mean shit. So, yeah, look, should Russell Martin be sacked? I'm not saying right now. Look, he could turn it around. If Russell Martin beats St Mirren, and then if he beats Celtic at Ibrox, then the gap's down to 1 point, and I think all of a sudden the bad start to the season would be forgotten about. I think Rangers would have momentum, and I think the fans would get behind Martin. Even if the performances are poor, even if they play shite and they beat St Mirren and they beat Celtic, if he can close the gap down to 1 point, honestly, I think that would be accepted. I think that would get him out of jail. But if he doesn't do that, if he doesn't beat St Mirren, if he doesn't beat Celtic, if he loses both of them, even if he draws against St Mirren and loses to Celtic, or even if he beats St Mirren and loses to Celtic, 7 points after 4 games, that's just way too big of a gap, man, and it shouldn't be allowed. I don't think it should be accepted from Rangers or Celtic. Not against each other. They can't be that far behind after just 4 games in the league season. So yeah, 47% are saying if that happens, yes, he should be sacked, it's unacceptable. 53% are saying no, it's too early. But I mean, at this rate, where do you draw the line? I mean, at this rate, honestly, after 10 games, Rangers could be like 20 points behind Celtic if things continue going the way they are. I know people are saying it's early, but let's say, hypothetical situation, Rangers do lose the next 2 games. Let's say Celtic beat them. They go 10 points clear. Then Rangers play Hearts up next. Let's say Rangers draw that, Celtic win, and then after 5 games the gap's 12 points. Is that still too early? I mean, how long do you allow the gap to get big? How big do you allow the gap to get until you're like, you know what, this is unacceptable. Sorry, Martin, you have to go. But yeah, it might not happen. Rangers could win the next 2 games. Unlikely, but it could happen. And maybe Martin can turn it around. We'll see, but yeah, I don't think right now it's not looking good in my opinion for the Glasgow Rangers, the Teddy Bears. But we'll see what happens, guys. That's it. Let us know your thoughts down below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.